What's up, everybody? I'm Alex with Comics and Cognac, and today on Cooking with Comics and Cognac, we're making a big ol' hunk of meat.
Look at this pot, and check out this pan. Here's a drawer full of knives, and one in my hand. It's time for Cooking with Comics and Cognac. Cooking with Comics and Cognac.
So, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, so today we're going to make a twist on an Irish-American classic. We are making a big old brisket. This is about 3.5 pounds of brisket right here. We're going to cook this up in some beer braised biscuit. God, love that alliteration. And it's going to be delicious. So for your meat, once you've got it unpackaged and cleaned up, you're going to want to let this rest for a while. Let it get close to room temperature. The cold refrigeration tightens up the fibers in the meat, and we want it to be nice and relaxed when it goes in the oven. With that, we're going to make some red potatoes. If you want to use some Yukon Golds for this, that's okay too. I prefer the red potato. It's my favorite potato. Just don't try a russet. Russets are useless. If you're baking a potato or you're making some fries, go with a russet. For this, red potatoes. We're going to quarter these. We're going to use probably, 2.5, 3 pounds of them. Also, onions. Probably going to use 3 whole onions, peel them, quarter them, lay them in the pan with the brisket. It's going to be awesome. Baby carrots. I'm going to take these baby carrots. We're going to use probably half of this package. This is a 1 pound package. Cut them in half lengthwise and toss them in there. It's going to be awesome. Along with all that, we're going to need some brown sugar and, of course, our beer, because you can't beer braise a brisket without the beer. We're using some Guinness. Guinness is great for cooking. If you want to try something else, a good red ale, it also works for this. I prefer the Guinness. We're using Guinness today. Alright, here's our brisket. If you've never bought one, this is how they come. Vacuum sealed in their own blood. For what we're making today, this little package of pickling spice right here, we're just going to throw that away. We don't need it. Now all this blood in this package is going to have the consistency of like a loose jelly. So make sure you open this in the sink, rinse it off with some cold water, pat it dry with a paper towel, and then clean all the nasty blood out of your sink. Okay, we got our potatoes cut. It's about 2 pounds or so there. We got our onions and carrots cut. I ended up only using those 2 onions. It seemed like a lot. Quartered those, break them apart a little bit. We got about a half pound of carrots. Next thing you're going to want to do is get a pot of water on the boil. When it comes to a boil, we're going to add the potatoes. 1 minute later, we're going to add all of these carrots and onions. And a minute after that, we're going to dump it all into a colander. We just want to blanch our vegetables, soften them up a little bit. It'll help them in the cooking process later. Something I forgot to mention when I was going over the initial ingredients is this right here, this pan. If you have a roasting pan and you want to use it, go ahead. I've got 3. I never use them. These aluminum foil disposable roasting pans, you get like 2 for $2. You get 2-pack for $2. Really cheap. Roasting pans are a pain in the ass to clean. So I use these when I'm done. You just throw them out. No cleanup. Super simple. Okay, our meat has sat out for about an hour and a half. It's ready to go. Veg has been blanched and is now cooled down enough to handle. So when you put your meat in the pan, make sure you put it in fat side up. When this heats up, this fat's going to start melting, and we want it to melt into the meat instead of under the meat. Also, I cut some scores in the fat here to let the sugar get in. Let's put this veg on there. Just dump it all in there. Move it around, get it to the edges. And another thing that I forgot to mention is the butter. We're going to put some butter in here. So I got my butter. It's about a half a stick of butter. and cut into little chunks. We're just going to put it all around the edges on the vegetables. And next we're going to put in our brown sugar. Okay, brown sugar is going right on the top. Move it around, smush it down on there. Cover that piece of meat with your brown sugar. Rub it in there real good. That was roughly half a pound of brown sugar, if you're keeping track of measurements, which I'm not. Okay, next up is the beer. Now, I'm not sure how much beer this is going to take, so I opened 3 to start with. Just going to pour them in there. I think 3 might be the right amount. God, maybe 2. Uh-oh, we got some spill. Ah, beer's escaping. We had to move back over here to the table because I made a terrible mess on the stovetop. There's beer everywhere. Okay, so the beer's in. All the ingredients are in there. I moved the veg around to even out the top here. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap this whole thing in aluminum foil. It's going to go in the oven at 350 for... probably, we'll put it in for 2 hours. After 2 hours, we'll check the temperature of the meat and also the tenderness of our potatoes. If the meat is the right temperature, it should be, for a brisket, anything between 130 and up, really. If the potatoes aren't tender enough, we'll drop the heat to 300, put it in for another half hour. Check it every half hour until we get the right feel on that veg. The great thing about braising meat is it's really hard to overcook it. We can get that piece of meat up to, 200 degrees and it'll still be juicy and flavorful and it won't dry out because it's cooking in liquid. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up, get it in the oven, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, there we have it. Finished piece of meat. Let's cut into this, take a look. Yeah, look at all that lovely pinkness. What we're going to do is...
Can I see?
See? Are you ready for dinner, sweetheart?
Yeah, but...
I have a helper now. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim the fat off the top of this, get rid of most of that. We'll keep some of it. Here's our vegetables over here. After 2 hours in the oven at 350, we ended up with an internal temperature of about 150 degrees. So we took this out, let the vegetables get more into all of this liquid, put that back in the oven at 300 for about 15 minutes while this rested. This finished up. The potatoes were a little too firm like I thought they would be, but now they are perfect. Fall apart, delicious. All right, I'm gonna feed my kids. We're gonna have dinner now. See you later. So you guys saw the beer flood on the stovetop. What you didn't see after I had moved the brisket from the stovetop back to the table, after I turned the camera off, I realized that I had a puddle of beer on the table and on the floor. What had happened was there was basically a little pinhole in the side of my roasting pan, and I was just leaking beer everywhere. So I guess we should add a step to that process. When you get your disposable roasting pan, put it in the sink, fill it with water, check it for holes, I guess. So here we are, several hours later, 2 beer floods later, and we made a delicious meal. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to chop up some of the vegetables and shred some of the meat, cook it with some eggs. Probably send the kids off to school with some brisket sandwiches. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and check the video description for some more links to all of Comics Cognac's nonsense. Later.